This video is probably a moot point right now, since pretty much everybody's seeing that the whole thing with the assassination was clearly I'm calling it staged, and I'll tell you why I choose the word staged as opposed to the assassination attempt was enabled, or it was a setup, or, and I mean, the left, and I'm talking about constituents, not the electeds, not the actual DNC or RNC officials. When I say left, I'm talking about constituents, civilians. And when I say right, that means the constituents and civilians that support the Republicans. And I'm speaking as a cryptologist. I was invited to join the Men's Association for my work as a cryptologist, code breaker of what's called game theory mathematics, or I guess it's a form of microeconomics, where you're looking at complex and nonlinear algorithms to determine mathematical probabilities. Everything we do and everything we say adds up to something. And when you say one thing and do something else, or don't do something else, shit just doesn't add up. It's called and then there's behavioral dynamics, governing dynamics, and yada, yada, yada. But code-breaking cryptology can be applied to any form of mathematics, not just economics, or because everything operates. I mean, everybody's familiar with the word algorithm, thanks to big tech. But my gifts aren't strictly limited to economics. I was proved to be very gifted. They learned I was very gifted in regular mathematics and art. My first memory was of third grade, but that was just what I remember, because there were certain things that happened where I remember my teachers praising me, or I got in trouble because they called me a liar. It was Easter in third grade. Mrs. Aikman had a clear mason jar, kind of a small one, not much bigger than this can. And she put it up on the piano in the classroom and said, whoever, and then there was a basket. We were supposed to write a number on a piece of paper with our name on it, put it in the basket, and said, whoever guesses most correctly, whoever comes closest to guessing the correct number of jelly beans in the jar gets the jelly beans. And I picked up and looked at it, and I was not good at guessing. We don't have real good, we have good abstract thinking, but putting it into words and making sense of it in the third grade without proper gifted and autistic education in Missouri was, I said, can I count what I can see? And she knew all I was going to be able to count was what's on the outside and the bottom. I wasn't going to be able to look down from the top because it wasn't a clear top. It was a regular mason jar lid that was metal and sealed and all that. All I was going to be able to count was what's on the outside. There was going to be a whole center mass that I wasn't going to be able to count. Well, I was able to use subtraction and mathematics and measurements to, I call it reductive spatial mathematics. That's probably not an appropriate word, but it's the best thing I could come up with for now to make it make sense. And I was able to accurately determine the exact number, 354 jelly beans. And the day Easter came, she looked at everybody's little piece of paper and she said, how did you do that? And I told her, and she said, you're lying. And back then they were always spanking me. Well, luckily my parents got sick of it. They're autistic savants. And they said, if you're going to spank her, you call us first. We want to know what the hell happened so we can sort it out, because you're spanking her and you don't understand. She's different. So sure enough, they called my mother, and she had to drive to the school, and she talked with me. She knew, my parents understood that I had a special gift, and they were always trying to take me away from my parents so they could exploit it. Kind of like that series, The Pretender, which I didn't really like it. I thought it was dorky as hell, but I do remember the gist of it. They were taking geniuses and using them for, I don't even remember what they used them for, but anyway, Mom talked to me, and she told the teacher, no, she's legit. But my mother looked at me and said, what are you going to do with the jelly beans now that they're yours? And that was a clue, my parents were teaching me not to use my gifts for exploitative purposes. I couldn't use my gifts to hoard, like I could just say, oh, those are my jelly beans and they're all mine. And that's when I said, well, I'll share them with everybody. I didn't really want the fucking jelly beans. I could care less. I didn't really like jelly beans. It was just something to, I don't know. I saw a challenge and took it. I really don't remember all my motives. But anyway, just to give you an idea of where I'm coming from. I don't have credentials. I don't even have a high school fucking diploma. Once they changed all the formulas in mathematics and it made no sense, didn't even make sense to my parents, I quit school. Plus Missouri was racist, it was gay bashing, and I was done. I wasn't going to get married and shit out a couple of kids to have a roof over my head. I was an artist. That's what I wanted to be. I could not care less about. I wanted to write. I wasn't so much into visual arts at the time. I was good at it, but that wasn't really where I wanted to go career-wise. I'd already written my first novel, and two novels, and I just wasn't interested in it. So what I'm saying is, back to the staged assassination. You have to remember, I was sworn and immunized. I was sworn and immunized by a former DOJ special prosecutor. He's a civil rights attorney who wrote up a fake obituary to get out of paying my salary, paying me what he owes me. He's exploiting me, taking my work and basically using the evidence from the federal criminal racketeering and child sex trafficking investigation he was mandated to launch as the bias crimes advisor for Orlando PD. And a whole lot of other government contracts, and use the evidence to blackmail Kamala Harris into the White House. His father's a Republican. He wasn't interested in really following through with the case, because once he realized his father was implicated, well, then it became, blood's thicker than water. And the Cronin family, that is not exclusive to the Cronin family. The Weinbergers are powerful oligarchs. You got D's on one side, R's on the other. Goldwaters. At the end of the day, we have a uniparty. They may bicker over petty shit, but all that bickering you see is really to keep everybody else divided. Not that we need a lot of help at the civilian level being divided with the patriarchal, rapist, white supremacist power construct, heterodominant power construct. What we need is enforcement and some attempt at conversion. And anybody who doesn't want to respect the U.S. Constitution can be treated like the terrorists that they are. I don't give a shit whether they're civilian or not. So basically, what I'm seeing is immediately after they announced that somebody had fired shots at the former President Trump and they had said apparent attempted assassination, I immediately go to Twitter because I don't have a TV, so I have to rely on social media to keep up with the news as it comes in. So I type in search hashtag Trump, and sure enough, there's former Missouri Attorney General Josh Hawley, an attorney who studied at Stanford and Yale, former White House doctor, Candyman, Ronnie Jackson. Oh, somebody tried, and I'm paraphrasing here, but they basically indicated that somebody tried to assassinate Trump, and that it was Joe Biden and the Democrats who did it. At that time, I did not realize that somebody had been killed from one of the bullets and 2 other people injured. Okay, when you kill somebody, when somebody gets killed during the commission of a crime, or people get injured, or both, that's called capital homicide, felony murder. Now, I'm not an attorney. I wouldn't know how state or federal prosecutors would charge for those who were injured. Would it fall under involuntary manslaughter? It depends on, they have to go over the evidence, and based on the evidence, that's how they charge. Is it involuntary manslaughter? Is it attempted murder? And then plus it happened during somebody trying to, according to Josh Hawley and Ronnie Jackson, somebody was trying to assassinate Democrats, and that means everybody at that corporation. That means their lawyers, their campaign managers, electeds, and current candidates that are trying to get elected as a whole. Oh, and their constituents, which means in their mind, that's anybody left of center is involved in this, what is now a capital crime, just to try to assassinate somebody with protective former president for political purposes, and presidential frontrunner to be reelected as president, though not the incumbent. But where there was also someone killed during the commission of that crime, that capital, whether Trump was killed or not, you're talking about capital punishment here. You don't have to commit capital homicide under treason to face the death penalty. So they're already saying that every